Okay, so good evening, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining our internships in the visual arts panel. My name is Rachel Brown and I am the program manager for the AUC Art History and Curatorial Studies Collective. Launched just over 1 year ago in fall 2019, the Atlanta University Center Art History and Curatorial Studies Collective prepares undergraduate students for careers in the visual arts. Housed within the Department of Art and Visual Culture at Spelman College, this innovative program aims to shape the future of the art world and position the Atlanta University Center of the leading incubator of African-American professionals in these fields. We offer an art history major, minor, and curatorial studies minor to students at Clark Atlanta University, Morehouse College, and Spelman College. Made possible by the generous support of the Alice L. Walton Foundation, undergraduate students enrolled in this program are also eligible for scholarships and paid summer internship opportunities. The internships in the visual arts panel began last year as an opportunity for students to share with other students and the AUC Art Collective community about their experiences with summer or academic year internships. We are delighted to continue this year with our virtual panel of current students, moderated by Tony Ireland, Assistant Director of Career Planning at Spelman College. So I will turn it over to you, Ms. Ireland, to get the panel started. And thank you again, everyone, for joining us this evening.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. So our panelists have provided us with a 2-minute presentation about their internships. And after everyone has spoken, then I will come back and ask questions of our panelists. So as we go along though, the audience, we're asking that you, if you have any questions, please go in the Q&A box and we'll come back and answer your questions at a later time. So let's get started and let's start with Edith Courtney. Edith is class of 2022.
Sorry. Hi everyone, my name is Edith Courtney. I'm a junior at Spelman College. I'm an international studies major, curatorial studies minor, and over the summer I was working with the Spelman College Museum of Fine Art under the Curator of Education and Community Outreach, Ms. Makiba Dixon-Hill, and the Curator of Collections, Ms. Ann Collins-Smith, and I help with analyzing the collections, and I help with coming up with programs for community outreach and education programs with the Spelman College Museum of Fine
Art. Okay, all right. Well, Christian Bryant, class of 2021, a Morehouse student. All right, Christian.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christian Bryant, and this summer I was interning with SF MoMA in their painting and sculpture department. And I was appointed to Rachel Jans. And this summer, there was a gift from Pamela Joyner and Fred Jufreda, a gift of works, about 30 works or so. And I focused on the artists Emma Amos, Elizabeth Catlett, and Louis Maylou Jones. And I conducted a research project and put together pretty much like a research dossier on this collection, but specifically those 3 artists.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. Okay, Elizabeth Goins, class of 2023.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Gowans. I'm a second-year history major, curatorial studies minor from Corinth, Texas, and I interned under Dr. Cheryl Finley, our inaugural director with the AUC Art History and Curatorial Studies Collective. And so what I did was I transcribed conversations that happened via Instagram Live under the Lunchtime Live lecture series. So every Thursday, Dr. Finley would meet with an art world professional and they would have a conversation over Instagram Live. And it was my job to then transcribe those conversations to be available for people to look at if they wanted to, for instance, study or do research with some of the conversations. And while I was doing that internship, I also had a second internship at the Xavier University of Louisiana in their library.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. Well, I kind of flipped things. So let's go to Tennille Mack, class of 2021. Thanks, Tennille.
Hi, my name is Tennille Mack. I am a art history and international studies dual major from Harlem and a graduating senior. And this summer I interned at the Getty. And while I was there, I had the opportunity to work as a curatorial intern under Dr. LaRon Brooks. And I focused on a project titled Persona and Power, the Complexity of Black Identity in Art. And while I was there, I also interned with an organization called Arts Interns. And basically, I worked at an organization called The Kitchen as a curatorial and engagement intern.
Okay, thank you, Tennille. Okay, so we'll start off with our questions. And like I said before, everybody doesn't have to answer the questions, but if you feel that you want to, hey, jump in. So this is a two-parter. What were some of the key differences between the virtual internship and the in-person internship? And then how did you navigate those differences? And just jump right in.
Okay.
Tennille?
Yeah. I'll start. I think one of the key differences is the kinds of communication that you'll have. So you'll definitely have to stay on top of things throughout the day. So normally, if an in-person internship, you'll have your advisor and you'll go back to them and you can have access to ask them questions while they're there. But virtually, you have to make sure you properly assign different meetings and timings and make sure you're just staying on top of your own work.
Okay. Anyone else who had a virtual and a Christian? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so last summer I was working at Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art. And that was like I was there physically, opposed to the virtual internship this summer. And I guess one of the biggest differences, I guess opposed to like actually being able to like walk the gallery and like really like see the artwork in person, is definitely something like Tano said, the time management was much more crucial on the part of the student or the intern. Because at SF MoMA, they held a lot of like virtual coffee meetings with different people in the museum. So just being on top of making sure you attend the meetings and things of that nature. And so I think the experience is a little bit more self-reliant. And that works for some people and others is a little bit more difficult for sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I'll go on to the next question. What is the one thing you enjoyed the most over the course of your internship and why?
I can go. Oh, you want to go ahead?
I can go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say for me, I worked within the museum before we went off campus as well. So I think it was very exciting for me to really get to know the people that I was working with a little bit more. Because our time got cut like kind of short. So that was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that a lot.
Okay. And Elizabeth, I think you were going to comment.
Yes, I enjoyed going back and listening to the lunchtime live conversations because when you engage in transcribing, you have to, press pause and start over a lot. And so I ended up learning a lot of information that I hadn't previously known and just really interesting things from the conversations. And they were kind of beat into my brain in a way since I was having to replay it so many times to understand what everyone was saying. So I found that to be really, really great and informative.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, next question. What is the one thing that challenged you the most over the course of your internship and why?
I think for me, it was definitely staying engaged in a way that I wasn't used to had we been in person. So like redirecting my focus when I would feel I'm a bit distracted by certain things and finding new ways to create my own environment to research and learn and also interact, because like with Zoom, it's like when you have meetings, you're inviting other people into your space. So that was a bit difficult.
Okay.
I agree with her. That was really hard. It's still like hard, even like with classes and stuff, but home is just very comfortable. So like trying to turn that into an office and then a classroom and all that, it's just a lot of work, but I mean, it's doable. It's a lot of work.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was just
Christian,
gonna
go
say
ahead,
that,
Christian. Yeah.
yeah, for me, it was, I think the type of resources that you have essentially just at your laptop is different than when I worked into museum and like actually got to go in their library and like research books on artists and things of that nature. So it's all kind of based on like what I can Google search or like what their online library offered. So research looked a little different this summer compared to other summers when I actually like pick up the physical copies. And sometimes it was a little bit more difficult, but being that we kind of been conditioned to, I guess, live in this Corona era, there's been some light packs to it for sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Another two-parter. What new skills did you gain as a result of the internship? Were any of the skills a result of the virtual internship?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say I'm really good at grammar right now. Because before, like I would just go through all of my work and then submit it. So I've become very obsessive about like checking my work. Like I've become a perfectionist almost. It's kind of disgusting. But yeah, my grammar is pretty good.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tennille?
And for me, I would say figuring out new ways to be a better presenter and like better presentation visually
Mhm.
beyond like the basic PowerPoint, and also staying in contact with individuals. Like I've learned to make sure I send out multiple emails, and it's so important now being that I'm graduating.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
I was gonna say email was really big for me too.
Mhm.
I have like kind of like a anxiety around emails because I essentially know that they're just texts, but they're like professional texts. So it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult. And kind of like Edith was saying, like making sure your grammar is on point with emails because it is a representation of yourself. And like Tanil said, like you have to send multiple emails a day, and it's usually I usually was just thinking like, oh, it's kind of one and done, but like it's an ongoing conversation. So I feel like definitely checking and emailing people back was a little bit difficult. But I think I gotten better at it since this summer in the internship.
For
Okay.
me, I got a lot better at typing and typing quickly because you have to really, really be able to get down what the people are saying so you don't have to go back so many times. And so you have to kind of focus and hold the words in your head if you get a little behind. So that was really interesting. And I also got really, really good at finding people online because I would have to maybe put a link to a person's website if they were mentioned in the conversation. And I got really good at spelling names just from hearing them because sometimes I was like, I don't know who this person is. And so I would just kind of type in Google what I thought their name was until I found them. So I got kind of good at that.
A new skill.
Yes.
Okay. Did your internship offer additional career development, let's say lunches or sessions? And if so, what did they entail?
I think there was one portion of the internship, like through the AUC curatorial collective, where we were like had daily sessions with art professionals, so ranging from social media and entrepreneurial professionals to um, like writers and artists, and how you go about navigating things in those fields. So for me, something I really took away from those sessions was the ability to self promote and brand, because that's something that's become so important, and how to um, sort of reframe how you are being perceived in that manner.
Okay. Anyone else have any career development? Christian?
Yeah, I was gonna say at SF MoMA they kind of really promoted the virtual coffees. So in the beginning of the internship, they asked me were there any departments that I was interested in learning more about or hearing from. So about every week, probably maybe like twice a week, during the 8 weeks, I had 2 lunch and learns. And one of them, probably the most memorable one, was with the artist Kenyatta A.C. Hinkle. That was really amazing. Wei Ying Chu, she's on the board of SF MoMA. And John, I can't remember his last name, but from Ghetto Gastro, he was really cool to meet as well. So it was always somebody new to meet, whether internal at the museum or outside. That was kind of within their contacts. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, John Gray from Ghetto Gastro. Thanks, you, Ming.
Okay. Did you all have any opportunities to meet other students? And what kind of opportunities did you have for collaboration if it was not with other students?
I think it was with Oberlin College. It was a discussion. We got into like breakout groups, and that one was interesting, but yeah, they were cool. I still follow some of them on Instagram actually, but yeah.
Okay, anybody else?
I think it was a great opportunity to just collaborate with like people who are more senior than I am. So it's always good to learn about their perspective and how they've navigated and made their own path into their careers. And also like with students, and I always think of it as like networking across and not above or below. So that's been helpful.
Right. Okay.
I got to meet a lot of, oh, sorry.
No, I was calling on you. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I got to meet a lot of people too. I remember one of our assignments was to go and try to find each other on social media and LinkedIn and follow each other. And so I thought that was really helpful because the first day we got there, I was like, who are all these people that I don't know? But it was actually really cool. And we were able to develop a community. And it was nice to see everyone when we got together for our big group meetings. And now a lot of them are in classes with me. So going in, knowing people was really helpful. And there was one other person, Amari Arundel, doing transcriptions. So every once in a while, we would have meetings and compare maybe transcription sites for different techniques that we found and talk about how maybe challenging or fun it was to do what we were doing. So it was really cool.
Good. Okay. How did your internship experience help you clarify your post-undergraduate plans?
I think, well, being that with one of my internships, the one that was with the arts intern at the kitchen, it helped me solidify that I do not want to start my career in nonprofit. And I think it's always good to identify what you don't want to be in, and that'll help you push you towards what you're interested in. And it helped me just learn about a wide range of opportunities. And there's so many new fields. I mean, so many new roles in these fields. So that was good to learn.
So why not nonprofit? What made you say nope?
I think for me, like in my earlier years, I would like an organization that's larger and where there's not such an emphasis to do like 10 and 12 different jobs within that one role, and then still having to not be paid a living salary, especially to be in a place like New York. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. What did the opportunity teach you about working in visual arts and about working in visual arts as a student of color?
There's not that many of us at all.
Okay.
It's not enough.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that one is it's not enough of us. This summer I was at SF MoMA, and there was kind of a lot of like racial turmoil kind of going within their institution. So I feel like from that experience, I kind of seen, I guess, the importance of like, I guess the AUC and like some of the initiatives that they hope to, I guess, build with like actually having Black students who are prepared to enter into the work field. Because this summer, Jordan Danzler, who's a student at Spelman, her and I were most of the time the only Black faces in like Zoom meetings and things of that nature. And it came to like the point that I realized that we were interns, so like our tenure there was finite. Like it wasn't going to be there for forever. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and I think it was a little bit more motivating for me to like really pursue something in a museum institution, whether that's as an independent curator or a curator that belongs to an actual museum. But for sure that the scholarship and I guess the research that we're doing even now as students definitely has grounds to be interjected in larger museum conversations because they just aren't having those conversations yet. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, definitely a motivating factor for me this summer, just seeing or sometimes just being one of the black faces or the only black face like amongst like senior level museums and things senior level museum leaders and things of that nature.
So is it important, you know, being the only, is it more important for you all to have a mentor, someone to help you kind of navigate this environment?
I think it is important to have a mentor, and not only even if that mentor isn't in your like per se field that you're interested in,
Mhm.
because they may be aware of like other people who can help you in that area, as well as just navigating the basics of communications and asking for resources and how to work on projects. So I think it's important to have a mentor and also a sponsor.
Sponsor, okay, okay. Um, what about networking? I mean, did you all, you know, I know you know, when you had your in person, I know you went to your internship. When you were virtual, you were, you know, at home doing it. But how important is networking, and how did you do it in a virtual environment? Or did you not do it?
I oh
I think I think networking is obviously really important. It's just a lot harder now,
Yeah.
but I'm finding myself, especially over the summer when different professionals would come and talk to us. If there was one that really like stuck out to me, like I would take the time out to reach out to them and
Mhm.
introduce myself and try and like maintain that connection. But sometimes it just wasn't like I can't say thank you for coming to speak to us to everybody. Like if we were in the classroom and I can just walk up to them and say, you know, thanks so much. So I just kind of pick the ones I'm like, I really liked her, something or him, something about them, and I'll reach out to them. But that's about it. And like try and keep that.
Did anybody, oh, Christian, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like something that I realized this summer is well, like you always kind of got to seize the opportunity. I
Mhm.
feel like seizing the opportunity looks a little bit different over Zoom. Um,
Mhm.
when everyone is like in Hollywood square styles and a lot of gray things with just like your name, like making sure that maybe your camera is on if it's someone who you're like very much interested in, and that you're keeping the conversation alive. Because a lot of these people were very senior professionals and they're getting emails all the time. So just making sure like when we're already in a space that's like attention is already kind of hard to keep, just making sure that you kind of not like oversell yourself, but like sell yourself enough that you're on that person's mind when you do decide to email them or contact them later. So yeah, I feel like this season the opportunity during the Zoom era is a little bit more different.
Okay. Did anybody have, excuse me, a situation where maybe you didn't have a lot of work to do and you found yourself kind of idle? And if you did, then what did you do about it? Tennille?
I feel like that happened, but in a way where I didn't want to do the work. Like I felt overwhelmed,
Hmm.
and because there was just so many other things going on that I let it get the best of me.
Mhm.
And I had to remind myself, like, you have to move forward with this despite circumstances, and there are new ways to adapt to the situations and how you can actually produce and execute. So I think writing things down and creating a more specific plan helped.
Okay. Edith, were you going to say something about that?
Yeah, I was gonna agree with her, but I was just gonna say there was never a time where I didn't have work. I always had something to work on. I would just need to put it to the side for a second and have to like really be like push myself to get up and finish it sometimes because but I always have something to do. But yeah, it is like she said, it is different, but you have to just adjust. Everybody else is doing it, so it seems to be it's possible.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more though. What are you all doing with regards to your personal wellness? You know, how are you taking that's, Tennille was kind of, talking about it a little bit, things she needed to do, but so how are you taking care of yourself? Are you meditating? Are you doing yoga? What are you doing?
I do yoga. I'm in yoga level 2 right now. So I was in one in the spring.
Mhm,
And I realized that when we were going through the transition of moving home, I was struggling a lot.
mhm,
But yoga was always something that I could look forward to kind of calm me down.
mhm.
So I continued to do that over the summer, and that's become really great, integrating yoga practice into my week or to my day. And I really love watching movies, so I'll try to maybe just lay down and watch a movie if I have a spare moment. I just always thought that was really fun. And I love taking naps. So even if I fall asleep watching my movie, I still feel okay about it because I'm not working. So I just try to do different things and I try to get out of my room. So maybe even if I just go downstairs to watch a movie instead of watching it in my room, I think that that's something that kind of separates what became my workspace and what is um, time to myself. And then when my mom and my sister get home from work, I hang out with them. So that's fun too.
Okay.
I think
Anybody?
oh,
Tennille?
I think for me, music helps engaging in like different forms of creative little projects, and speaking to my family. That's a great help. In cooking, I enjoy baking.
Oh, watch that baking. Okay. Okay. Now you'll have to exercise after you do all the baking. Okay. Edith, I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been listening to a lot of podcasts or like audiobooks, stuff
Mhm,
that I don't have to look at a screen.
mhm,
Because I have astigmatism, so
mhm.
me looking at a screen too long is just bad.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have to do stuff that doesn't require me like looking at a TV screen or a monitor. So I also like I go hiking and like go on trails and stuff. So that's like pretty nice.
Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to, stress that I think we all need to take care of ourselves because like somebody else was saying, this can get to be overwhelming. I started walking and Edith, I do Audible too, because that just, instead of staring at a book, I just put it in and just go somewhere else in my head without staring and really having to concentrate. So that's good. Okay, I'm just glad to hear that you all are taking care of yourselves. All right, next question. What kinds of internships are you interested in exploring over the next semester or year? Have you thought about that? What's your next step?
I have.
Okay, go ahead, Elizabeth.
So a lot of what I tried to do and was helped with over this summer was figuring out how I could merge the interest I have in history with the visual arts. And so a lot of times I see that where my interests merge ends up being with archives and librarianships.
Mhm.
And I learned a bit about preservation over the summer. So I'm looking to take classes in preservation and see if I can find internships to see if that's something that I enjoy because I don't want to just think I enjoy it and then all of a sudden I'm in the situation and I don't really like what's going on. So I'm trying to, and I know it's going to be hard doing this virtually, of course, because we can't really go anywhere, but I'm trying to do what I can to get knowledge of how preservation and even conservation works to see if that's something I want to continue with. And then I'm also looking for opportunities is archives assistance. I was the archive assistant in the Spelman archives while we were on campus.
Mhm.
And so I'm looking for positions similar to that that I can complete remotely since I do know that that's something that I like already.
Okay. I think Tennille, you were going to say something.
Oh yeah. For me, I'm definitely looking into internships. I also have other interests, and I know there may seem to be lots of pressure to like figure it out now. And
Mhm.
something that quarantine has taught me is to just make sure you don't put all of your eggs in one basket. So
Absolutely.
I'm also seeking like full-time roles and possibility of graduate school, but I can't do virtual again. So it may be slim chances for that, but I definitely have been looking into various art frequenting positions within like fashion and
Mhm.
media as well.
Okay. Okay. Christian?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that although like the internship search is like is always on, I've kind of redirected my focus a little bit towards like grants and people who would pay me to, I guess, put on an exhibition. Granted, my idea was accepted. Um, the what I've been learning in the AUC has really been great. And I think I and want to push myself to, I guess, actually show that I can kind of put some of these things in stone or in a more physical realm. So trying to push together different curatorial grants that would offer me the opportunity to put on an exhibition. I'm very much interested in securing a curatorial grant over like the next year, hopefully having an exhibition somewhere in the 2022 year.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I've been looking a lot into figuring out places that would allow me to do something like that.
Okay. Okay. Um, we talked a little bit about skills and things like that. So, especially for the seniors, but everybody else, do you feel career ready? You know, there are certain things that employers look for. You know, we talked about a little bit about that, but like critical thinking, leadership, teamwork, professionalism. So, do you all feel career ready? Are you getting that way?
I definitely do feel career ready, and I think that in terms of like soft skills and
Mhm.
learning more things about like art history in a more technical sense, I do have to do some more like groundwork and making sure I make those important connections.
Mhm.
But it's one of those things where you don't know until like you don't know once you get that experience. So
Mhm.
I think that the best teacher is experience, and once you're in that role or in that place, it'll be a more well-rounded place to learn from.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Christian.
I think from my first internship experience, I got to see like I guess what an entry role as like a curatorial assistant will really look like. And since then, I feel like I've been really trying to take on some of the roles or skills that you need to have to fulfill that role, since that is probably the first role I'm looking to get into, a curatorial assistant at somebody's institution. So I guess being able to fill out loan agreements or object labels, or being able to do some of the more technical things, things of that nature. I think I am prepared for some of those things. But like Tanil said, like there's always things that you're not gonna know that you need to know to do that until you had to do it. So I've been trying to figure out those things as much as possible. And luckily we have a good network in the AUC where there's people who have graduated from the program who are actually in the museum institution, so they can kind of help us or guide us or like tell us these are some of the things that you might want to sharpen before you really get into a museum job.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay.
I agree with them. I was gonna say for me, I think that I'm definitely career ready in a sense that I could do some administrative work. I think that for me personally, I'm an international studies major and then curatorial studies minor. So I feel like there are a lot of like art prerequisites that are just like art terms, certain like art knowledge I just don't have.
Mhm.
So definitely been considering a master's program in like PhD or something post undergrad. So.
Okay. Okay. Real good. All right. So another two-parter. All right. What is the one thing you know now that you wish someone had told you? And then what advice can you share as a result of the internship experience? All you old folks. What's the one thing you know now that you wish someone had told you, and what advice can you share as a result of the internship experience? I think everybody can weigh in on this. Okay, Edith, go ahead.
I was gonna say that for me, I wish I knew about like these different roles earlier on. I switched my major like 3 times. So I finally feel like I found something that I like. And so I just wish I knew about it sooner. For whatever reason, I probably just would have enjoyed it longer. But yeah, and I think that for me now, I like that there's so many different avenues I can, it's a very interdisciplinary like situation, art world. So I like that for myself because I'm very like fluid in my work. I like to be able to integrate everything that I can. So like for other people to know that that's possible.
Okay. Tennille?
I would agree that something I would tell someone that I wish I'd known is to always be like prepared in ways like in the most general way,
Mhm.
because you never know what opportunities are going to pop up. Like some of my best opportunities have been the most random. Better yet, all of them have been the most random. So just staying open and making sure that I have like the basis of things written down, like a bio, like having headshots and all of those things ready just to send out when
Being
needed.
prepared, yeah, being prepared. So when opportunity shows up, there you are.
Mhm.
Yeah, real good. Christian or Elizabeth, any pearls of wisdom? Anything you wish
Yeah,
you'd known? Yeah.
I feel like it's something that both Edith and Tanil kind of touched on. But for me, I feel like I wish someone told me that this is like a very open and like an open space. Like Edith mentioned, like it's very like interdisciplinary like spelling like the art world is. So like not being so nailed down on like, oh, this is what I want to do with these skills and things of that nature. But I
Mhm.
think like keeping an open mind to like what your skills could potentially do in different ways and how to incorporate your passion in there for sure. I feel like it took me a while to really figure out if I was going to do something I was passionate about or something that was going to make money. And now I'm definitely doing something that's I'm passionate about. I don't know about the money part, but you know, it's been cool getting to learn about myself and potentially like being able to work in a field, um, I can really like fall in love with. So I would definitely tell my younger self or somebody younger just to stay open with the skills that you're learning because you never really know like where they'll go or take you.
Okay. Elizabeth?
Yeah. Um, I wish I would have known that transcribing was harder than you think it is.
Mhm.
It takes a lot of time and a lot of focus, and I definitely have the tendency. So if I'm listening to something and I hear something else, my focus is usually just shot. Like I can't, it just doesn't work and I can't focus anymore. And so I had to realize that I had to like tell my family, I need you to bring the volume down because I can hear you through the door of my room. And like, I'm not trying to be rude, but I have to make this as a priority because I decided this is what I wanted to do. So I'm letting you all know. So I wish I kind of yeah, so I wish I would have known about the transcriptions a little earlier. It did end up being fun, but I also think that it was important that I learned that I can tell people, this is something that I'm prioritizing. So I need you to be here with me on this. And if this is what I need you to be quiet for maybe 3 hours, then we're going to have to figure out how to do it. And I would also say that, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's possible to do 2 internships at once. I did it this summer, but it is a lot of work. So make sure that if that's something you want to do, you believe you can do it because it does get challenging at times. And especially in the online environment, you're staring at a computer almost 24/7. And so you just have to know yourself and know your boundaries. And I would say, I probably wouldn't do that again. It was a great experience, but you have to be able to learn to say no at times if you feel that that's what you need to do. And I'd also say, to echo my fellow panelists, you can definitely find things that you want to do that maybe you didn't think you could. And I found that my 2 internships overlapped a lot more than I thought they would have. And I didn't realize that in the beginning. So I definitely say find what you're passionate about because there's always something that you can connected to, maybe to make the best of both worlds, whatever you think that that is.
Good advice. And let's piggyback on that just a little bit. In this virtual environment, did you all discover anything about yourself that you were not aware of? Any revelations?
Yes.
Okay, Tania.
I became aware that I was a future forward person. I didn't realize how much emphasis I put on the future and like plans and stuff, and I think it became a negative factor because of like the anxiety built up surrounding quarantine and just the uncertainty of certain like possible opportunities. So I've realized how future forward thinking can enable you from not being present and how not fully being in the moment.
Okay. Christian?
I feel like that I learned that I'm actually a little bit of a people person. I feel like before this quarantine, I very much consider myself an introvert, and I still do. But I think now I've gotten a greater appreciation for like being in large groups or like just being around people in general. Like I went to the Mint Gallery 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I didn't realize like how refreshing it would be to like actually be able to walk through a gallery space and to be in contact with strangers and things of that nature. So that was really refreshing, and I'm hoping I can bring this new attitude into like the workforce. So I'm mixing and mingling a little bit more. But I did see that I need to be around people a lot more than I thought I did.
Okay, good. Okay, all right. Well, Rachel, we do have a question in the Q&A box. You want to take that or?
It's from Ming. It's for Christian. I'm from Christian.
Okay. Okay. Is it?
Yeah, it looks like we have a question in the question box. And as a reminder for the audience members, if you would like to ask our panelists any questions, please go ahead and type them into the chat box. Christian, but it looks like the question was, I am curious about John Gray and Ghetto Gastro's involvement with SF MoMA. I know they were working on a curatorial project with Cooper Hewitt. Can you speak more on that?
Yeah, sure. So a little bit into my internship experience, Unji Ju, who was kind of like our mentor at SF MoMA, she got to know us a lot more. And through a few conversations, she learned that I had a very big interest in like streetwear culture and fashion. And she had knew a few people who were kind of working in that world of fashion and streetwear and museums. So she brought John Gray to talk to us a little bit more about his background and things of that nature. So his foot in the culinary world and how he was able to merge that into like different, I guess this different streams of income, but like different streams of, I guess, careers. So he does like food, clothing. He recently, kind of recently, I think maybe like a year or two ago, he had a collaboration with Nike and he had his own Jordans. So he just spoke to me about that and some of the like how he was able to weave his passions into something that was profitable. And he did speak about the Cooper Hewitt exhibition that I believe is gonna be here next year. But it centers Willie Smith. And Willie Smith he's documented or cited as like the first fashion designer that I guess brought about like street culture or streetwear fashion. So I had a pretty cool conversation with him, just talking about some of the changes in streetwear fashion that I've seen, I guess just in my time of living, and he was kind of comparing it with his. So John Gray was definitely a very cool resource, and I feel like he would definitely be willing to talk to us as students, because it was just Jordan and I on that call, Jordan, me, and Unji. So I can definitely see if he would be willing to reach back out to us, because I know he would love to see more faces and talk to us about some of the things that he's interested in, like fashion and things of that nature. No problem.
Okay. More questions from the audience? I know you all have some questions. I wish I had known about this. Well, we didn't have this when I was here at Spelman, but it sounds so interesting. So interesting. And don't worry about the money, Christian. If you enjoy what you're doing, they always say the money follows. Don't know about that, but that's what they say.
At least I'll be enjoying what I'm doing. So that's what matters.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how many people get to work every day and enjoy what they're doing? Not many people. So that's fabulous. Okay. So Rachel, I don't see
Sure.
any questions.
Okay, so if we don't have any more questions from the audience, then I would like to thank you all for joining us today and for sharing your insights on this panel and about your internship experiences. For the attendees that are here, right now I'm going to go into some information about our paid internship program for the AUC Art History and Curatorial Studies Collective. So the panel portion of the evening is finished, but for those of you who would like to stay, I'm going to share some information about the paid internship program. Okay, so the paid summer internship program offers our professional and paid experiences for students who are art history majors and curatorial studies minors. And so students who are eligible for our paid internship program can be students at Clark Atlanta University, Morehouse College, and Spelman College, because these are all students who are eligible to enroll in the program. All right, so why intern? And some of these areas our panelists talked about tonight, but internships are critical opportunities for students to gain practical work experience and to formally explore professional opportunities in the visual arts. So students that are enrolled in the program, and when I say enrolled in the program, I mean a declared art history major or declared curatorial studies minor, students may apply for pre-approved internships in the United States or abroad at any visual arts organizations meeting the internship eligibility criteria, which I'll go over in the next slide. So because internships are so important in developing these professional skills, all declared art history majors and curatorial studies minors are required to complete at least 2 internships arranged in conjunction with the program. And that is as juniors or seniors. Students are also encouraged to complete additional internships. So that means in addition to the summer internships, internships during the academic year as well, and as early as the sophomore year. So as rising sophomores finishing your first year. So a question, as a declared art history major or curatorial studies minor, how do I begin planning for my summer internship? And so if we think about the planning process in terms of semesters or timeframes, in the fall semester, students would be researching and scheduling an appointment meeting to discuss the internship search with a faculty or a staff advisor. Students would meet with career services at their respective institutions. So since the program works with Morehouse, Spelman, and Clark Atlanta, depending on which school you attend, you would meet with career services there to have an initial cover letter and resume review. And then once students have gone through those steps, they will submit an internship wish list, which is just a way to keep the search organized. And on that wish list, you'll note the places that you're interested in applying to, deadlines, what's required, and that wish list gets submitted to the program director who can approve the internship experiences And we'll talk about what's eligible in just a second. So that's what happens in much of the fall. And you'll also see that applications start to, starting in December, January, February, you'll start to see deadlines for some of these applications in March and later. And so in late fall into early spring, you'll be applying, and all students should have or must have their resumes, cover letters, and additional application materials reviewed in advance by program faculty and staff. And that is just to ensure that you all are putting your best foot forward. And so sometimes, in addition to the resumes and cover letters, you may have a personal statement that you have to write or a writing sample. And so those are the kind of application materials that we can review in the program. And then we also can schedule mock interviews. And so we will, as program staff, take the place of a interviewer and kind of take you through some of those questions to make sure that you're prepared. So those are the kind of things that would happen in late fall after your internships that you're going to apply to have been approved into the spring. So what happens in the spring? In the spring, you are looking at the internship offers coming in, you're doing your interviews, and once you decide upon one internship, so we will provide funding for one internship. And if you can, as Elizabeth has shared and as Tennille has shared, it's possible to do more than one internship. Whether it's advisable or not is up to you. But what we are working through and approving for you is one internship. And so once you get an internship offer, you have a placement form that you'll submit to us. And so after we have that placement form, you'll have an internship agreement that you will sign, that you'll sign with the person who's going to be your internship supervisor. And then the program will book your travel. So our paid internships, you can have a virtual internship, as we've done for the first time this past summer, as the students have talked about, or you can have an in-person internship. And so if it's in person, we book your travel. So as soon as you are submitting your internship placement form and we're seeing, okay, in May or June and early June, you need to fly from Atlanta to California or wherever you are, we will book that. And then in the late spring, early summer, you're receiving your internship stipend check and you'll begin interning. And so the check is meant to cover your housing expenses, transportation expenses, food, and other sort of living expenses that you incur over the course of the internship program. And this stipend and the funding for the program, as I mentioned earlier, is generously provided by the Alice L. Walton Foundation. So what is the criteria for internships? So we know that not all internships are created equally, right? They offer a variety of experiences. So this is the reason why the program director approves all internships before students begin applying. So we have basic guidelines that we share. And so in order for an internship, and many museums and galleries have established internship programs already. So it's worth stating that most internships that you find are going to easily fit within the criteria. But just to clarify the process and how we're evaluating internships, in order to qualify for a paid internship through the collective, it must provide hands-on learning opportunities, provide professional feedback and adequate supervision, provide a position description or agreement that you're both signing, be of sufficient duration, so that's typically 8 to 10 weeks, provide substantial career exposure and professional development opportunities, and one of these internships can be in person or they can be virtual. So another popular question from students is, all right, so there are a lot of internships out there. I don't even know what to begin or what I want to do. So some general advice that we give is that the internship search should be treated like a college, graduate school, or job search, and that a range of options from safe to reach should be included and considered. And so generally speaking, students should seek the opportunities that speak to your professional and academic goals. And so some questions that you could ask yourself when you're evaluating what you may want to do is, what interests me about this opportunity and what kind of skills or knowledge can I bring and share with the organization? And what qualifies you for that position that you're interested in applying to? You're wondering about what kinds of skills can you learn and develop? Does the internships look substantial when you're looking through the description? Are the learning goals clearly stated? How will the internship help you with your career and academic goals, right? Because these are professional development opportunities for you. So you want to make sure that whatever you're considering aligns with the goals that you have for yourself. Are there opportunities to network, right? Because some of the supervisors that you have or students that you're meeting in the internship program, they can be future colleagues and coworkers. And so you want to make sure that you have the opportunity to network as well. And you may be able to also get a sense of who your supervisor might be. Another thing that is suggested is if you have a place that you're thinking about, look on their social media and website and kind of see if you can fit yourself there. A lot of institutions do a great job on their social media of really kind of showing their brand and identity. So if there are certain things that you're interested in or want to make sure that the company cares about, you can look on their social media and find it that way. And do you believe in and support the company's mission? Because if you're interning for them, ideally you want to make sure that you agree with their positions and their, how they operate. And so those are just a few questions that you as students can begin asking yourselves as you're looking at organizations that you may want to intern with. And again, the research is not done completely on your own. You have faculty and staff advisors to talk to that can run through these kinds of questions and talk with you about them as well. And another question that we get is, well, where do I look? I don't even know where to start even looking. Well, there are a lot of different ways that you can find an internship opportunity. So one of the things as a program, we are actively working with different partners to collaborate and offer experiences for students. So one of the places that you want to look is in your email, because whenever partnership opportunities come, we email them to students that are in the program. Other options include career services for all three schools. They all have websites and different portals that students can log on to. Handshake is one that all three schools offer. Other things, LinkedIn and other social networking platforms have opportunities to share internships and things that are coming up. Other existing portals and search engines like the Association of Art Museum Curators, Glassdoor for Students, LinkedIn Student Careers. And so there are a lot of different search engines. Another thing that you can do is propose your own. And by propose your own, what we mean is that sometimes there may be an organization that you're very, very interested in interning at, but you notice that they don't really have a formal internship program mentioned on their website or anything like that. So we can help you sort of think about our internship eligibility guidelines, what the potential position could be, and how to craft a 6 to 8 week internship opportunity that doesn't appear to exist through an organization. So those are just some examples of how students can go about the research for internships and where to look. And again, this research component is really happening right now in the fall as organizations are thinking about the summer options. this is now the time to really, really get into your research so that you're prepared when applications open. And so this last slide is just for questions. And I saw in the Q&A, now if I can find it, that there were a few questions popping up. So let me just navigate to that. Okay, so, all right, so this was a question. How do you get an internship? From Marty. So as I sort of mentioned in the presentation, there are a lot of ways to start searching for your internship. It begins with research and advising. And so once you go from there, as a program, we take you through the steps to go from, you know, a research list of options that really work with your goals and what you're interested in, to applying to that internship position and securing it. And so for all students as well, we have an internship guide that we send out every year. And the beginning of the guide outlines what the internship program is, what it entails. And then at the end of the guide, we have different opportunities that we recommend. And another thing that I should mention is, of the 2 required internships that juniors and seniors must do, we highly recommend that at least one of the internships takes place in a museum department. Okay. All right, so it looks like that was the only question. Thank you for your question. Okay, so if there aren't any more questions, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. If you have any other questions or you want to know more, you can always send me an email or visit our website at aucartcollective.org, where we have information as well, and also other faculty members in the department, other staff in the program, and staff members that you can contact if you have questions about the internship program, or you want to set up a session to advise to get your research started. So thank you all again for joining us this evening. And a recording of this session will also be made available in case you would like to share it or revisit it